Well, you can take the bridge over from Jensen Beach, go past Cocky Joe's, make a left on Fort Walton Road, across US 1, and where do you end up? You end up at beautiful Tradition Field here in Port St. Lucie. From Tradition Field in Port St. Lucie, Florida, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Today the Mets play the Washington Nationals. Hi everybody, I'm Ron Darling, this is Keith Hernandez. And you know what's interesting, Keith, we've been talking about as we're getting here in the last week, is that these teams now have to make some very difficult decisions. Guys are getting ready to play, but at second base, if Daniel Murphy cannot make the call, he's one of those guys that they're going to have to make a decision on second base. You can see Daniel Munoz had a great one, Matt Reynolds, and Ruben Tejada's in the lineup today. Is there a scenario where Tejada is in the opening day lineup?
Well, Ruben's got like 9 lives. He's a cat, so he's been in the doghouse, in and out of the doghouse for such a long time. But you know what? He can pick it. He is certainly in the mix. I mean, Flores can play second base also, and you can put Tejada at shortstop. Flores is a natural second baseman. I don't know if they're going to go north with either Reynolds or Muno. They both are having great springs. I really like Reynolds as a nice young hitter coming up. They may need more seasoning in AAA, but certainly Tejada is in the mix. I don't know if Ruben can play every day, but he can play second and short. So it just gives Terry more options, and the more options you have, the better off you're going to be.
If you're talking to most pundits this offseason, they all describe the Washington Nationals as a team that is going to be the team to beat in entire baseball. But when you look at their team, they're kind of limping into April. When you look at all their injuries so far, Keith, what do you think about this Washington National Club?
Well, those are 4 fairly key players in their lineup. It's like losing, 4 guys in your lineup are hurting. Span with oblique surgery. There's Matt Williams here, second year with the Nationals as manager, third year, excuse me. It's a team that's kind of limping. Strasburg, who's pitching today, he sprained his ankle. This is the first start. He's only had 2 starts this spring. Is he going to be ready? So this is a team that is going into the last, a week and a half of spring that's got some serious injury problems. And if they can all come back, even though they can come back, they're not going to be 100%. So maybe it's a good thing the Mets open up in Washington against their rivals.
It's a great matchup today for you folks at home. In the pitching department, you got Jacob deGrom going for the New York Mets. Last year, of course, the Rookie of the Year. I was always swayed by how mature he was on the mound last year, his ability to paint that fastball slider and change up. And he's taken it really right into spring training, as he has not missed anything here in March. And he's going up against Steven Strasburg. Well, first, his numbers in spring training, 2014 against the National League East, 10 games started, 5-1. That's an outstanding record. And going against Steven Strasburg last year, who had his best year in the major leagues, made 34 starts, struck out 242 in 215 innings, and he's become one of their great parts of that kind of all-star rotation that the Washington Nationals have. So we'll be back soon. It's Port St. Lucie, the Washington Nationals playing against your New York Mets.
A man
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by the Lexus Command Performance Sales Event, now through March 31st. See your Lexus dealer. By Chase, with more ways to serve you in your neighborhood and on the go. By Hyundai, visit your Hyundai dealer to take advantage of their March sales event special offers on Elantra and Sonata. By Time Warner Cable, enjoy more shows on more screens. And by Volkswagen, hurry in and get a deal during the Volkswagen Stop Dreaming and Start Driving event. The first Free Shirt Friday this season is on April 17th and features Matt Harvey. To celebrate, the Mets are offering a 3 for $33 package, which gets you 3 tickets to the game for $33, along with $15 credit off food and beverage. All fans will also receive a special Matt Harvey t-shirt presented by Old Dominion Freight Line. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Harvey. Look at today's pitchers brought to you by Verizon Files with Speed Match. You can see DeGrom's going to get some work, of course. Probably 5, maybe 6 innings if he keeps his pitch count down. Zach Thornton, who's been a great surprise in camp. Chasen Bradford, who was sent down but will pitch in this ballgame. Scott Rice and Sean Gilmartin, the left-handed pitchers. We'll go to break. Hey, listen, the trip to the NL East goes through Washington. The Mets were 4-15 against the Nats last year. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan, furnishing your style. Well, the starting this Jacob DeGrom for the Mets. Talked about him in the open. What a magical year he had last year and Rookie of the Year. Starting lineup is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. You can see this lineup the Nationals brought over without a lot of their star players. Keith talked about a lot of them are injured. Tony Gwynn Jr. might make the ball club. But a big name at the bottom is Steven Strasburg, as the pitchers will hit today.
And there's Jacob right there, last year's Rookie of the Year in the National League, and well-deserved, 9-6 with 2.69, 22 starts, splish splash. What a splash he made on the National League last year, and he's had a terrific spring. You see his numbers so far. He's throwing great. I love the walks to innings pitched. And where are the walks here? The defense. It's brought to you by Chevy. I lost my card here. The wind. It's so windy here, folks. A bullet right by me. Dyer, Lagares, and Granderson. That'll be the starting outfield. Tejada again, his second start at second base, is in the mix. Darno behind the plate, and that's your defense. Brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
There's Ruben. playing second, as you said here today. Keith, last time you and I did a game, it was 89 degrees. It's only 66 degrees today. I'm sure, though, no one's feeling our pain in New York as there's some snow.
Well, folks, when I have to read the lineup, it's sponsored by Chevrolet, and we have a car we're supposed to read and lead it into it. They pay for that. And, well, the wind just blew it right off my desk.
You didn't have it memorized?
So I apologize.
You know, Escobar swinging at the first pitch, fouls it away. Escobar is an interesting case. The Nationals traded for Escobar. They traded one of their big right-handed stars in that bullpen, Tyler Clippard, because they needed a second baseman. Escobar, though, only a few at-bats, has had an oblique problem so far in spring training.
The big obliques.
Grounded up the middle. Nice play by Tejada on the backhand, and the one-hop throw to Lucas Duda for the first out here for DeGrom.
Well, Lucas has good hands around the bag here, and this is an easy pick right here. You always, as a first baseman, you want that short hop. It's hard to miss that. It's the in-between hop that's a bear. But nicely done in the backhand.
Look at his foot there, Keith, on the back of the bag. Very good.
Nice footwork. Well done, Lucas. Couldn't have done it better myself.
Well, here's the sensation signed to the 17-year-old, the #1 pick in the nation, Bryce Harper. Hits the first pitch, swinging again. First pitch hit the Duda. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. It's going to be interesting to see if the approach against DeGrom, who is a strike thrower, is indicative of what we saw in the first 2 batters here, Keith. Everyone are very aggressive on those first 2 pitches.
Well, he goes and attacks hitters. There's no question about that. And, you know, if my approach to Jacob would be, you know, you're going to get a fastball to hit. But he's got such an outstanding secondary pitches and such great command. You don't want to get behind the count in a guy like this.
Well, here's the Mets killer, Wilson Ramos, who's hitting in the 3rd spot today for the Nationals.
And Wilson Ramos has made a short career out of killing the Mets. His problem is staying on the field.
The season ended again last year by a thumb injury. He reminds me so much, and he's Venezuelan, so I'm sure that this came into when he was a kid growing up. But he looks a lot like Andres Galarraga when he takes his stance at the plate. That big open stance. The big cat.
He's got some pop, too. He looks in real good shape. Hit 8 home runs last year, and hit 11 home runs, forgive me, in 88 ball games. So a little over half a season.
DeGrom comes in with did not call the strike there as Ramos walks on 4 pitches.
Well, the one thing I've seen with DeGrom in his last start, DeGrom said he mentioned it in the papers. He's been up in this area right here a lot. And last year, one of the keys to his success was that he kept the ball on the knees. I mean, he was like a missile guided, heat-seeking missile down on the outside corner knees. Another big beard here. It's the new fashion.
Another veteran and brought into camp by the Nationals, Ian Stewart. First pitch swinging again. It's foul.
They're not waiting around.
It's almost like a getaway day here. Nationals brought over, well, half their team, as Keith was saying, was in the open, is hurt or off a couple of days. So kind of a beeline up here for Matt Williams' Nationals. Stewart grounds that ball to the pulled side. And a nice play by Lucas Duda as it drops him to his knees. DeGrom gets through the first inning.
On Monday's Pix 11 Morning News.
Well, the Mets starting lineup offensively is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. This is really the opening day lineup. You're not sure about second base with Tejada, who did some good work out of that 8th hole last year when he was the starting shortstop. But that's probably the lineup you're going to see on opening day.
Well, there's Steven Strasburg, another big #1 pick. Much ballyhooed and big strikeout pitcher. Last year, 14-11. Made all of his 32 starts. Full season for him. 245 strikeouts. He's a strikeout guy. And now we'll take a look at the national defense, brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Tony Gwynn Jr. out in center field. A chance to make the ball club. Escobar, they traded for, will be the second baseman. And Ramos behind the plate. So a lot of the guys aren't here in this lineup that the Nationals brought down from up north. They're around, what, around an hour?
Yes.
A little over an hour.
15.
Hour, 15-minute drive, bus ride.
Well, Lagares getting in the first spot here for the Mets, leadoff position. He has been outstanding in spring, Keith. There was a lot of talk of the pitchers batting 8th and Lagares hitting 9th. Why would you? He's had an amazing spring at a 383 clip here in spring.
I've never been a proponent of hitting the pitcher 8th.
Soft ground ball to the right side for the first out.
Now, as a third-place hitter, which most of my career, I would love it, because then you've got like 2 leadoff guys, and I really become the cleanup guy. And more men on base, the more men, because those pitchers are going to have big outs, most of them.
That's true. Curtis Granderson is having a great spring, as all the Mets players are. Just hitting a clip below 300 as a team, getting on base 40% of the time.
And I think a lot of that goes to Kevin Long, and not so much what he's doing as far as mechanically. I just think they both are clicked together. There's a positive energy there that is, like Yogi said, it's half the battle. 90% of the game is half mental. I agree. Right. I couldn't agree more.
That's right. What did Michael Godire say earlier this year in one of the columns? Said that your brain is as important as your swing. Strasburg at 92 miles an hour. He's got all the pitches. He throws a 4-seamer and he can cut it. He's got a 2-seamer, big overhand slurve, and a good changeup. There's the changeup, but believe it or not, folks, it's 86 miles an hour. That is his changeup. Strasburg last year had just a fantastic season. Made all of his 34 starts. And runs that one off the plate as Granderson takes a walk here with 1 out. David Wright's cooled off a little bit. You can see his numbers from last season, but he's cooled off a little in spring. He was hot early, cooled down a little bit. It's almost like Port St. Lucie is letting these players know that we're going to bring the temperature down a little bit because you're going north and it's cold up there.
Well, you've got, they got 9 more days, 10 more days for opening day. Once you start getting down into the last week, which will begin Monday, that's when you kind of want to start turning it on.
First fastball poured in the inside corner for a strike to right. Interesting part of David Spring has been a good sign. 3 home runs, all 3. 1 to right field, 1 to center field, and 1 to left field. He's at his strength when he's hitting the ball all over the ballpark. Granderson with a short lead at first. Here's that good breaking ball by Strasburg, but outside for a ball. Count 1-1. Nicely taken by David.
No, Strasburg, when he came up, was throwing in the high 90s now, and you notice he's backed off a bit, more control.
Fastball inside, David on the ground. The shortstop Espinoza to Escobar on to first base for the double play to get Strasburg through the first inning. We're scoreless here, Tradition Field in Port St. Lucie. yesterday in Jupiter. Matt going against the Cardinals. Good outing, 4 1/3, 3 hits, a run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He did hit 80 pitches through those 4 1/3, so not as easy a run through a ball club as he's seen most of this spring training. We were just mentioning as we saw him walking off the field there, how big he's gotten.
He's got a tip in a snowstorm with that outfit on. I know it's snowing up in New York. It is a little chilly today, folks, here in Florida.
I don't want to hear it, Keith.
I know that. 66 degrees to be exact, which for South Florida is around 20 degrees cooler than the norm.
Tyler Moore up at the plate. 2 seasons ago, he had one of his breakout years. Tyler Moore, 10 home runs and only 200 bats. Manager then, Davey Johnson, loved to use him in the utility role. Played some first base, outfield. Tremendous power. All these extra men, ancillary players on the team trying to make it here in these last 10 days as he goes down on strikes against Jacob deGrom.
So I think deGrom saw what was going down in the first inning. A lot of guys swinging at the first pitch. Now starting to get some on a changeup there, I believe, Ron?
I think it was a changeup. Clinton Robinson, a kind of a career minor leaguer. You see his numbers with Albuquerque last year. He's got 141 home runs in the minor leagues. Never has really stuck in the big leagues. Almost every club has these kind of guys, don't they? Those career kind of guys that spend most of their time in the minor leagues. Tremendous power hitters, but never get their shot. Or get their shot and not able to translate it from minor leagues to the major league.
And once they get their shot or 1 or 2 cups of coffee and it doesn't pan out, they never get another chance. I can think of a few guys. Roger Freed, former Philly. Nice rip right there, but right at him. Nice.
Nice play there by Michael Kadire. Ball on the line. Going away from Kadire. Still makes the play, Keith.
Well, he's in the left field today. In the corner outfield position, it's going to be a lot of responsibility for Lagares out there, the Gold Glover, but this is a beautiful play by Kadire.
That'll be part of the thing to watch for with the Mets early, is how their defense is, how much range they cover, lack of mistakes. As Danny Espinosa comes up playing shortstop today, Ian Desmond, of course, is their regular shortstop. Desmond had 24 home runs, 91 RBIs. Espinosa has been an interesting case because he can pick it, but's never been able to hit at this level.
And a switch hitter strikes out an inordinate amount of times. In 333 at bats last year, he struck out 122 times. He had 8 home runs. He's got pop, but just strikes out way too much. And I'm hopeful in the game. I think we're starting to come back around, Ron, where the strikeout maybe before players don't really care about strikeouts. I think that we're seeing less strikeouts now, even though it was a pitcher's year last year. Seeing more contact hitters.
Fastball ties up Espinosa. I think the 2 themes we've seen in spring training, Keith, are that the pitchers are not like all out every pitch, starting pitchers, and that the hitters are making sure to try to put the ball in play with 2 strikes. It's a good thing for baseball, both of them. See what deGrom tries to put Espinosa away on with this 1-2 count.
Quick work.
Fastball inside, pulled right into the hole by Espinosa. The pitch prior was above the belt. This pitch was below the belt. Espinosa put it in play.
Darno set up away, and the ball's down the pipe. So a 1-2 pitch, not a pitch that deGrom wanted to throw, not the location.
It's Tony Gwynn Jr. Had to be a sad year for Tony last year. Lost his dad. But has a chance to make this ball club. Nate McLouth has been hurting. You don't know if Jason Worth is going to go start an opening day because of his sore shoulder. deGrom with a good fastball on the knees. More pitches on the knees this inning for deGrom.
You know, we always talk about our partner up here, our caller, Gary Cohen, never misses a trick. He's home watching. He just texted me.
What did he say?
Didn't you notice that Espinosa's hit right-handed against the righty?
That's right.
He gave up switching.
I'm
sorry, Gary.
I was going to say
this is when we need Gary the most. Darn it.
That's right. I'm just trying to get through this without falling out of the booth. Fastball away just misses on that 0-2 count. I was going to say, and I didn't even notice.
I said he's switch hitter.
But I was going to say that he has given up switch hitting because of the strikeouts, and he put that ball in play with 2 strikes.
Oh, so sure you were.
Yeah, exactly. Fouled straight back there by Gwynn.
Well, with Denard Span with the surgery on the peculiar surgery in its oblique area.
Well, he had a sports hernia operation first, and then the surgery for the right core muscle.
So he's not going to be ready to go. So Tony Gwynn just could be their opening day center fielder. He's Tony Gwynn Jr., folks.
Well, it's good that Gary's texting us because I know he's doing a great job on the basketball. I heard him the other night.
Well, you know, it's snowing up there, so we can't go out and exercise.
Boy, right down the middle and hit straight center field, but Lagares is there for the final out. Michael Cuddier's defense is going to be in question, but not on this play, as he makes a beautiful diving catch in left field for Jacob deGrom. 0-0 here in Port St. Lucie. Myself is anything better than the spikes hitting that pitching mound. Nice play by Lucas Duda and Michael Cuddyer here early in this ball game.
There you go.
The wind is whipping from left to right, blowing out partially to right, 66 degrees as you see.
North wind, that's why it's chilly today.
Whenever you talk about the wind, it's like almost like you're a boater, like you know about that kind of stuff.
Well, I know where the ocean is, so it's easy to figure out north, south, east, west in Florida.
First pitch hitting Luda as he fouls out one straight back. Strasburg gets up. Strike. Lucas did everything that you wanted. He won the position. Like Davis was traded. He finished strong.
Well, hit the big shift on you notice there on Lucas. Lucas, of course, had that storybook 30th home run the last day of the season. Was really something else to see.
Now all he's got to do, Keith, is put it back to back. Put 2 years together. Easier said than done.
That's right. Well, Lucas missed some time early in the spring training with an oblique and kind of fell behind. He's only got 31 at bats, so he needs some at bats here. He's got a week. He's not having a good spring, but you know, spring is spring. But he certainly fell behind.
2-1 changer from Strasburg misses, and count goes to 3-1. It's the strikeouts that have been pretty alarming for Duda. 17, I believe, here in spring training. Fastball overpowers Duda. Count 3-2. Well, you had to appreciate what Lucas did last season, though. You know, he was in a fight for the job, didn't say anything, just went out there and let his performance do the talking. And if he ever learns how to hit left-handers, now you're going to really have something. Fastball again fouled straight back. There's a home run leaders in the National League last year. The $325 man leading with 37. $1 million man. Todd Frazier probably the surprise for everyone with those 29.
Yep, and in the Nelson Cruz was the one who led the major leagues. He had over 40.
40, right, 40 on the nose. Hit right into the shift. Espinosa with the play.
Well, we'll take a look at Lucas's swing. Always has the big kick, leg kick. And he's balanced. Just got beat there. He's a little long with his swing right now. And he was a little behind that.
Michael Kadire up at the plate. He's had a hot spring also for these Mets. First pitch hitting. Fastball up in the air to that wind blowing out to right field, but this one will stay in play. Bryce Harper with the play in right field. Bryce Harper is going to be the right fielder for this Nationals team this year, coming over from left field. When Jason Worth is ready, he will go to left field.
Well, both Worth and Harper have terrific arms. And that just shows you that if it were Worth to stay in right field, Worth has the better arm of the two, although they're both outstanding. And Worth with the shoulder now, they're going to get him over in left field and have less strain on throws until he gets completely 100%.
A strike to Wilmer Flores, who's 15 for 45 in the spring at a .333 clip, 2 home runs and 8 RBI. Wilmer missed a few days. He hit a fouled the ball off his top of his foot. And he's got that protective pad now working over his ankle and foot to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Cumbersome. Wouldn't want those things on me.
Some hitters are more, they will foul the ball off their foot more often. They're that kind of hitter. Were you a guy that fouled the ball off your foot a lot?
No, I didn't. But when you did, it hurt, and you just hoped that you didn't do it the next day or the next, particularly the next at bat. My God, it would be awful. The shin, it hurts when you hit it off your shin.
Fastball away, hit hard to left center field. Gwynn Jr. going back, but the wind will hold it into play as he makes the final out here for the Washington Nationals. Still scoreless here at the end of 2 at Tradition Field. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Verizon. Only Verizon Fios comes with speed match upload speeds as fast as your download speeds. Well, that's a nice thing to see. For me, it would be a nice thing to see. The pitcher's starting to finally get some at-bats here in spring training.
I think it should only be when it's an American League club. You know, as a manager, you have the option in spring training to hit your pitchers. I know you want to see players early, but I want my players to have to get up there and bunt. That's a critical part of the game in the National League.
Strasburg, a real threat with the bat. Although it didn't look like it on that swing. Matt Williams, someone told me a stat this winter. Matt Williams had 5 hits off me career, Keith. 5 hits. 238 average. Not good, right?
No.
4 of the 5 hits are home runs.
What'd you do? You were hanging it?
I guess so. As Strasburg goes down on 3 pitches.
He wasn't that good, was he?
He was pretty good. Almost 400 home runs, over 1,200 RBI. Came up as a shortstop, but really settled in at the third base position. Career home runs as a third baseman. He's third behind Mike Schmidt and Chipper Jones. Pretty impressive. You know, Escobar coming up for a second at bat.
Well, the strike year that when they struck the World
94.
Series, he had a terrific year.
Fisted into center field, and that ball drops in front of Juan Lagares. Escobar is going to be a big part of this ball club, and he's always come with, what would you say, baggage?
Well, they got in Bobby Cox's doghouse, had a good rookie year, if you recall, Ronnie. He hit a lot of home runs, and then really got deep in Bobby Cox's doghouse, and they unloaded him, traded him up to Toronto. He's never had the year that he had that rookie season.
Only had 7 home runs and 37 RBI for the Tampa Bay Rays last season. That hit produces a smile. Harper delayed to get to the box. He couldn't get the donut off the bat. Big powerful swing there. That's not in the pace of game initiatives, pace of play game initiatives. Getting the donut off.
Not a peculiar swing, Harper. He's falling away with his body. It's not a classic swing. There's a lot of unorthodox swings that have been great players over the years.
DeGrom seems to have that outside corner down on the knees, painting right now against left-handed hitters.
And he's another guy that's got to stay on the field. He's always been hurt. Bryce Harper just can't stay healthy. He plays very hard.
Hurt his thumb last season, missed some ball games. But it was really in the postseason, good and bad, that you saw the best of Bryce Harper. Some home runs against the San Francisco Giants and also some stare downs.
He's very competitive. He's a very intense guy.
55 home runs at such a young age is very impressive. Harper's the only player other than Tony Conigliaro to have 2 seasons of 20 or more home runs before his 21st birthday. Tony C was one of my favorite players, so I'll call that impressive. That was 64 and 65 for Conigliaro when he hit 20 home runs and then 32 and 65.
Was it Jack Hamilton hit him in the head?
Yeah. August 18th, Keith.
Is 66?
No, I think 60. I want to say 60. Yeah, 66. I think you're right.
He had the 2 big years in a 30 home run year.
The only reason I remember the date, August 18th, my birthday is on the 19th, and I told my mother that I didn't want to celebrate my birthday the next day because he had been hit.
You remember the Sports Illustrated cover of him with the black eye? Oh my gosh,
it's horrible to look at. Darnell calling for this fastball up in the strike zone. Just throws it right by him for the second strikeout of DeGrom in this inning.
Well, DeGrom was 19 strikeout for spring training so far. Just a fastball and beats him. Big stride by Harper. just swung right through it.
Only 3 walks for DeGrom, so his control has been pretty impeccable.
I've been wanting him to get the ball down a little more. We noted earlier that he's been up with his pitches this spring, and he is cognizant of it and trying to get the ball down.
All strikes this inning, though.
There you go. That's where I like to see it.
Not called by home plate umpire Chris Conroy, but that's a good pitch there by DeGrom. I like that call. That ball's below the knees.
Yep.
Slider pulled by Ramos. An easy play by Flores over to Tejada. Still scoreless here at Tradition Field. As Travis d'Arnaud comes to the plate, Steven Strasburg against Jacob deGrom. We're scoreless here in Port St. Lucie. D'Arnaud's numbers from last season, 13 home runs. He's yet to get untracked here in spring training.
He's had a tough spring. Hit some balls hard at people and a little bit of unlucky. But needs to find it here. Now's the perfect time. The last 9 days left of spring training.
It's not easy now. You're starting to face all the good pitchers for 5, 6, 7 innings, almost like a regular game.
It's actually better, Ronnie. The hitters face the same guy, the same stuff.
Ball hit in the air is carrying as Bryce Harper surrounds it and catches it for the first out. Let's go down to Steve Gelbs, who's with Anthony Recker.
Yeah, Ron just saw Travis d'Arnaud up at the plate, so we keep the catching theme going here. First of all, you see the Nationals coming in, and now it's more the regulars starting to come. We're about a week away from when things get going for real. Does it feel different now? Do you start to get that anticipation going, Anthony?
Definitely. As you get closer towards the end of spring, guys, tend to get antsy for the season to start. You start seeing all the regulars coming on the road, and all of our regulars are starting to go on the road, and you get a little bit excited. It's definitely time to get going.
And you're starting to get going at the plate. How comfortable do you feel up at the plate right now?
I feel a lot better. We got a little double for room here, but I feel so much better. Start of the spring, I wasn't seeing the ball great, and my swing wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. I've kind of nailed down, I think, both things. Still working on some things with the swing, but definitely feeling a lot more comfortable at the plate and getting ready to go.
We were talking before this interview about how you have a future on TV when you're done playing. That was a pretty good play-by-play goal right there.
I just jumped in. I wouldn't call that play-by-play. I just jumped in real quick, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Well, you know what? The whole team really offensively is having a great spring, and you look at where you guys were last year offensively in the spring during the season versus where the numbers are, and albeit it is spring training, but when you look at that, is it just something that the team feels good about itself? Is it something tangible you can attribute to a new hitting coach in Kevin Long? What's been the difference?
There's just been a completely different attitude this entire this entire spring, and that's partly Kev, I think, has brought that, and we're just kind of along for the ride, and we feel really good. I mean, everybody, we're doing a lot of talking inside the clubhouse about approach, about what we're trying to do at the plate, what we're trying to do with certain pitchers, what they're doing out there, in between innings, in between at bats. The guy will come off and say, hey, I saw this, I saw that. So just a lot of good conversation going on and a lot of good positive energy.
How important is it, even though it is spring training, to have these positive results heading into the season?
Oh, I think it's huge. It builds confidence. We're going to go out here knowing we can square the ball up and do the little things. We get a guy on second base, moving him over. We get, guys on first and second bunting. We've had a couple of those, and then driving guys in, when in the big situations with a runner on second, 2 outs or whatever it may be. We've had a lot of that this spring, and it looks like, it's just going to continue, and we hope it continues into the regular season.
Well, we'll see if DeGrom can drive in his first run of the spring. Not right on that pitch right there. That's not what you guys are looking for Jacob DeGrom, though, to do. When you catch this guy, what is it that gives you the confidence that there is no sophomore slump that's going to happen for him?
Well, he's always had a really good confidence out there in himself and his abilities. He's got a very smooth, easily repeatable delivery. He hits his spots really well. He's just a great kid. I mean, he works really hard. So it's just a combination of a lot of things. He's got all the little things, and obviously the talent, throwing 95 with a good changeup, good off speed. So all that stuff combined just equals a guy who's not going to go out there and have a sophomore slump, because as much as guys want to watch video on him or they start to get used to him, whatever it may be, he's working hard to come up with some new things to use to get guys out. So
Matt Harvey, it's been really unbelievable to watch, because the one thing that you always see is the command is the last to come when you're coming back from a surgery like he is. One walk this spring, is that even surprising from your perspective, even knowing the kind of worker Harvey is, to see him have that much success this early?
Not at all. Just being around him for like the last 2 years, I've seen him work his butt off. And 2 years ago when he had that great year, I saw him, throwing his bullpens and pitching his butt off off the field, and then getting in the game and just having obviously an amazing year. Then last year obviously dealt with the injury, but I saw him rehabbing and working hard to get back. So it's not a big surprise to me to see him having this much success already. I mean, I even caught a couple bullpen sessions toward the end of last season where he was spotting up pretty well. So I shouldn't say expecting it, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
We appreciate the time, Anthony. And listen, you were so good on the play-by-play right there. Why don't you send it back to Ron and Keith in the booth?
Ron and Keith, back to you.
Oh, very good. Well, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Anthony. Little slider there from Steven Strasburg. Well, Anthony Recker, looked like in the middle of camp that they were taking a good look at Johnny Monell, a guy that's kind of the Bronx equivalent, someone told me, of Crash Davis. He's been everywhere and played everywhere. But Anthony Recker's done a nice job for this ball club as a backup. Strasburg and Ramos can't agree on the pitch here to Lagares.
I really like what I've seen from Juan at the plate this spring training. As Ronnie, you mentioned, a terrific spring. But you know what? I like the swings.
This one hit down the right field line. Harper comes charging in, but that ball drifts out of play.
Been a little more disciplined at the plate, Lagares, something he's always worked on. And, it comes with experience. Everybody, particularly the aggressive hitters, are going to swing at a lot of bad pitches, and I know it's really emphasized here within this organization. And there's Kevin Long, the new hitting coach for the Metsies. But Juan has been a little more selective, but not losing his aggressiveness. It's a fine line between being more selective and losing your aggressiveness. It's maintaining your aggressiveness.
Another fastball overpowers Lagares as he fouls it to the right side. Right now the basketball is going on, Keith, and they always have that phrase gym rat. So people just love being in the gym, shooting baskets. Well, Kevin Long's like a cage rat. He's just always in there with his players, and it's nice to hear what Anthony Recker said about that all of the Mets players are sitting around talking hitting all the time. That's a good thing. Don't always have to see it. Sometimes just talking with the other hitters can help you. Fastball hit to the right side, but foul. call made by Ed Hickox, although that's how we have it on the scorecard. That's not Ed Hickox, I don't believe, at first base, the first base ump. The umpires, no, that's not Ed. The umpires in spring training sometimes shift to different positions just to work on things themselves. Mike Estabrook, Jeff Gosney, and home plate umpire Chris Conroy. Breaking ball, did he go? No.
Well, this is what I'm talking about here. You know, a couple years ago, Lagares would be hacking at that breaking ball. There he holds back. Now, it's going to make you more vulnerable inside, but you know what? When you got 2 strikes, you're going to be vulnerable inside. And the pitchers are going to get inside in your pots and pans and break your bats once in a while. It's okay. There you go. They went right back inside and tied him up.
Strasburg has done that a couple of times. We saw it to David Wright, the ability to throw that breaking ball away and come back with that fastball in. This one up. Oh, deflects off Ramos, and then the umpire.
The umpire got a Baker call. Day game at Wrigley.
When's the last time you did a game at Wrigley when it was day? It doesn't seem every time the Mets go out there it's a night game.
Last year we were 3 night games. That's just really
this year too, I believe.
Yeah, terrible.
Change up on 3-2 and nice at bat by Lagares as he draws the walk.
Well, those are the things that Terry Collins is looking at. And he has not made a 100% decision on Lagares leading off. But those kind of at-bats right there, and there's Terry, are going to catch his attention and are going to say, okay, maybe Juan is ready to lead off.
Well, I've said this the last couple of years. Of all the young Mets players to come up and develop, you know, you think of Lucas Duda, you don't always think of Juan Lagares, but he's gotten better in the major leagues. Curtis Granderson at the plate. 2 on, 2 out. Who's your favorite hitting coach? Since we have the Granderson, Kevin Long connection. Or did you have one? Other than your father.
Oh, other than my father? Oh, gosh. You know what? I never really connected that much with any of my hitting coaches. I'm not a guy that needs instruction mechanically. I'm a feel kind of guy.
Yeah.
And that is in all sports. Even when I started to play golf, and I had a golf teacher that was teaching me mechanics, I was better with a golf guy teaching me feel. That's how I respond and positively.
Let's go Mets chant out here early in Port St. Lucie. I know that when I first started playing golf, Keith, someone told me you have to go take lessons. Got to take lessons. And I told this person I'm not going to do it. Why? Not because I didn't want to know how to play golf correctly. I've been coached since I'm 6 years old. I don't want to be coached anymore.
I know.
Done.
I hear you. You can't get me on the driving range. Hit 107 irons too. That puts me to sleep.
We're confined to the 19th hole now.
We used to take 100 swings of batting practice.
Fastball up. Hit down the third baseline. You got to stay with it if you're a fielder today because of that wind blowing across. You never know. Almost hits the tiki bar. One hop, and a fan makes a play. There's that wind we were talking about. Really whooping here in Port St. Lucie. It was last night some unbelievable rains and wind on the beach.
Well, I got stuck in the air for around an hour, circled outside of Palm Beach for around an hour and 15 minutes because of the bad weather.
Ball slammed to right field with the wind blowing out. This is long gone. 3-run bomb for Granderson as he stays hot here in spring. I want to say this is a changeup, but I'm not sure, Keith.
1-2 count. Torrid hitting from Granderson this spring.
Mets now have 38 home runs as a team in their 26th game here today.
All right, ahead in the count. What's he feature here? They want to come in Oh, right down the pipe. Big mistake. You know what? You got to get those guys when they make mistakes like that. And you can see Strasburg is not getting his curveball over today at all.
Yeah, that's the changeup.
Yep. And you don't want to throw it inside. You got to throw a changeup outside. Get it out there, down. So he's just missing with his curveball. He's got a good one, but he can't get it over.
I did fail to mention, pardon me, folks, is that Strasburg missed the start. He turned his ankle while he was working out, so this is his first time on the mound in a few days. Ball hammered to right field from right. This one's going to be gone also. Back-to-back home runs for Granderson and Wright. David's in a good place, Keith, when he's hitting the ball the other way.
Well, you can always tell when David sets up to go the other way. It's called blocking. He blocks. He's set up that way. Got a lot of power going that way. Don't know if that ball would have been a home run at Citi Field with the wind blowing out. But it's all about contact. Good swing, good approach. You know, if he hit a line drive with the right fielder, I don't care about that. It's spring training. It's a good at bat.
Well, maybe with the new dimensions, that will be a home run this year. Citi Field. Steve McCaddy, the real fine pitching coach for the Nationals, out to settle down his big right-hander. You know, in 1981, I didn't know this, McCaddy finished second in the Cy Young Award voting. 14 wins that year. He finished second behind Raleigh Fingers in the American League.
What year was that?
1981. That was the Oakland A's when they had Billy Ball.
Well, there you go. You can see what they did to the fences. 370 in the gap. Oh, my gosh. It's like Wrigley Field. So we far cry from 386 at Old Busch Stadium. So there you have it from 390. 390 was quite large out there. I like the 380. I don't like the 370. I think that's you're going to find Met pitching going to give up a little more home runs too. It's a double-edged sword. It's certainly going to help that man.
Well, it looked like for a while that Strasburg was going to be able to pitch out of a one-out double by Ruben Tejada, but remember the big walk to Lagares to keep the line moving, and then Granderson with the 3-run bomb. Sometimes the biggest at bat in an inning is a walk.
It's a nice 2-out rally. That's what it is.
Yep. Full count here on Duda. The one thing I always notice about Steven Strasburg, and he is one of the game's more elite pitchers, is that he tends to get a little flustered. And certainly when you give up a couple home runs, that's going to make any pitcher flustered.
70 and clear.
Duda pops this ball up. Ian Stewart, third baseman, is able to get over, even in the shift, and make the play for the final out. But the Mets score 4 runs. A big 3-run home run from Curtis Granderson. And David Wright follows suit just about in the same place. 4-0 Mets Washington. Well, you see the pocket schedule. It's brought to you by Hyundai. See the remaining games left. Some with Washington, St. Louis, Miami, but then 2 games against the Texas Rangers in Arlington. I was talking to Josh Lewin, who does a brilliant job on the radio side for the New York Mets, and he was saying he is the only guy that's happy to be going to Texas because that's where he keeps an apartment so he can get all of his stuff and bring it to New York for the summer. Ian Stewart at the plate, doing what Ian Stewart does. Has 3 home runs in spring training. He is just a guy that really comes up to the plate looking to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
And he's got the beard going like Parnell and Mr. Neuenhuis. That's a serious beard. Like put him in a federal uniform.
One of the Smith brothers.
The Army, the Potomac.
Smith cough drops for you folks out there.
They're still around.
Are they?
Yeah.
I date myself a lot lately.
I like the cherry flavor when I was a kid.
Make your tongue red. Hit on the ground into the shift. Tejada in the outfield makes the play for the first out here in the top of the 4th.
You remember those St. Joseph aspirin for children, and they were orange flavor?
That's right. Those are.
My parents went to the movie with a babysitter, and they came home from the movie. I was a little kid. Had orange all over my face.
You ate them all?
Right to Kaiser Hospital. I got my stomach pumped.
Oh. You were a handful.
I was a handful.
Tyler Moore, University of Alabama product up here for the Nationals. My brother did something very similar to that, but what he did is he didn't like the cherries, but he loved cherry juice. Okay. So the maraschino cherries, he took the cherries out and drank the whole juice. My parents had to take him to the hospital because it's supposed to be too acidic. Change up nice by DeGrom to get ahead in the count. This is the pitch that really could be a great weapon because you don't see many right-handed pitchers have the ability to throw a changeup to the right-handed hitter and keep it down and away. Fastball hit foul. And it's a minor league field. They've started games over there.
They got their names on their backs in the minor leagues?
You can see all the fans.
A lot
of them are family and wives and girlfriends. And
very nice.
Fastball up, popped in the air by Tyler Moore, but this ball will drift Granderson back because of the wind, but he settles under it. Okay. You find that crazy that they have their names on the back of the uniforms?
Yeah,
Isn't that easier? Isn't that easier for the coaches to recognize?
I would think so, yeah.
But I know what you're saying is that you weren't a big leaguer until you had your name on the back of the uniform. Now, in this,
that's all the guys.
Brandon Nimmo.
I think maybe it's the guys that were in big league camp only.
Fastball hit right on the nose. This will definitely go over the head of Curtis Granderson as he plays it one hop off the wall. And a stand-up double for Clint Robinson.
2 rips by Robinson in this game. A line drive to left field is first at bat, but Kadire made a beautiful diving catch. And now this fastball out over the plate off the Tire Kingdom. Advertisement.
Oh, you're going there, are you? Do you need some new tires? Is that why you said that? Well, okay, we're not going to miss it this time. Danny Espinosa up here, right-handed against Jacob deGrom.
So he has given up the switch hitting. So this means he's a natural right-hand hitter.
Well, you mentioned all those strikeouts, Keith. Over 122, you said, and 331 at bats.
Oh, I think it was. I think you're right. Yes.
But he got that hit with 2 strikes from the right side against deGrom. So that's a good sign for Espinosa.
He's going to be primarily the backup here, middle infielder in his ball club.
Manager of the year last year in his first year was Matt Williams.
Had the very controversial move in the playoffs that he got second guess.
Jordan Zimmerman.
Yep.
8 2/3. Took him out of the ball game. And 2 weeks prior, he had thrown a no-hitter.
Yes.
With that great catch in the outfield.
And they lose the game.
Well, your managers will tell you today that we try to do what we've done all season long in the postseason. And that's starting to get old for a lot of fans because the postseason is different. And sometimes, you got to stay with your horse.
So you've got all winter to rest, right?
Yeah. I think the Giants did all right using Bumgarner in that way.
Yeah, no fooling.
Another good fastball up. Achilles heel for Espinosa is that fastball up in the strike zone. He likes the ball down.
He swings under a lot of balls. He's got a little loop in his swing. Swings too hard. There's the Colonel.
We'll get almost every board if we can here today, folks.
Oh, there he is. Serving up that yard bird.
I haven't heard that in a long time. There you go. That's what our broadcast becomes at times. Send in the clowns. That's a change up there that Espinosa pulls straight foul.
He needs to get that down in the zone.
Straight foul's not a good phrase. That's Danny Worthen.
Get down to the last week. Folks, don't worry, we're not going north. The Mets aren't going north with Mr. Met on their hats, I promise.
Cologne is going to pitch the first game, followed by Harvey's going to pitch on Thursday, right? Cologne on the first day, and DeGrom will pitch the second day in Washington.
Good pitch.
Good pitch for a strikeout from DeGrom. As he gets past that 2-out double by Robinson, and the Mets still lead here in Port St. Lucie 4-0.
That's what I'm talking.
The Volkswagen.
When I played in spring training, I used to live on Jensen Beach. I always used to drive by that sailing school as one goes down there in the middle of our picture. I've always wanted to do that, but I can't. I suffer from terrible seasickness, so I can never do that.
What do you do when it goes on the side like that?
I don't know. That's one of the other reasons I shouldn't have taken it.
Yeah, man overboard. Have to fish our director out for the water there on that one.
Billy Webb. First pitch change-up and then fastball from Strasburg behind 2-0. Strasburg, you're right, Keith, just does not have his superb control today. Been behind some hitters, giving up a couple of home run balls.
Not throwing usually the mid-90 mile-an-hour fastball either.
Well, this ball hit hard to left field, but we talked about the wind earlier. It'll stay in play. And caught by Tyler Moore. Well, it's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. Wilmer Flores hit a ball right on the nose in his first at-bat, just to fly out to center.
Well, we get right up. Mets open the season on the road against this ball club, the Nationals. We'll move on to Atlanta for 3 after that. Have you got all the new rules in line now for when you apply for your reimbursements on your? I'm a little confused.
I had to hire someone to do my expenses because I'm just not. I don't have the mental capacity to do it.
I send the faxes in now, so I'm going to have to send them like 15, 20 sheets.
Toughest part is you got to itemize them now, Keith. Everyone's going to know what you're doing.
That's right. Well, I may have to start going to see the Colonel on the road.
Oh, up and in there to Flores. Could hear the yelp from Flores as this ball came up and in.
I can honestly say that Wilmer does that a lot. So does Daniel Murphy. Never seen anybody do that in the 17 years that I played.
Fastball stays fair as Stewart makes the play.
Nice.
And throws Flores out of first base.
Nice arm from third base from Stewart. There's Murph, and it looks like Murph. And we knew this. I mean, hamstring's a hamstring, okay? And whether you pop it or you tweak it, you've done damage to it. It's 3 weeks and maybe a month. And Dan's going to have to be very patient, because if you re-injure any pulled muscle in your legs, you can double the recovery time. It goes from 3 weeks then to 6 weeks. So Dan's just going to have to hold his horses. And what old Tom McKenna, the old trainer, said, he'd ask the player, how do you feel? And they'd say it feels fine. And he says, he'd give him 1 more week. He was the best.
Ball hit right on the nose by d'Arnaud to left field, and Moore plays it into a base hit for d'Arnaud. Streaking around second, he'll proceed to third base as Tony Gwynn Jr. backs it up and gets the ball in.
Well, d'Arnaud needs the hits here, and I'm glad that's a base hit. So we'll question whether it'll be a triple or a single and a 2-base error.
Well, we mentioned the wind, and the wind is blowing in from left field, and Moore misjudged it and didn't know the ball was going to dive at the last minute and doesn't come up with the play. d'Arnaud thinks that Moore is going to catch it and then has to turn on the wheels.
Should you give that a 3-bagger, Ronnie? How would you score that?
I think you have to give it a 3-bagger. He dove for it.
Yeah.
Even though it was played poorly, you still have to give him triple, I believe. Oh. I don't have it in my ear, so I don't know what they're going to make the call.
It's not training.
Or if we have an official score.
Nice swing by Ruben there. A lot of first ball, fastball hitting here by the Metsies.
You know, you were mentioning Tom McKenna, the late Tom McKenna, and it is a triple. Old 50-50. Tom Seaver used to call him 50-50. He doesn't hurt you, he doesn't help you, but that is not true. One of the great trainers of all time.
Well, he had a feel. Well, the old trainers, Doc Bowman was ours in St. Louis. It was there back in the 30s. They just had a feel. They could feel with their hands and know what was wrong, and they'd get you well.
I know sometimes it was painful. If you had an elbow injury one spring training, and Tommy McKenna said to Davey Johnson, let me have him for a week. He's not throwing for a week. And he rubbed my elbow raw, manipulating all the chips and all that stuff into a proper place where I was able to pitch and made the whole season. Amazing guy.
If you recall, in '84, he came up north with us.
Right.
The first year we got Steve. And Tom was our assistant trainer, and
there's Aaron Barrett in the pen.
Tom, he just had a wonderful time.
Steve Garland.
That was his first year. Yes.
Good
nice
pickup by Ramos. And Strasburg with people on, losing his control here.
Well, that's a nice backhand right there. Got a breaking ball.
And they're letting Strasburg go pretty deep. This will be his 70th pitch here in the 4th inning. Fastball right by Tejada as he gets out of the mini jam with Strasburg. But still trailing by 4 as the Mets lead here at Tradition Field 4-0.
Top of the 5th we go here in Port St. Lucie. Mets up on the Nats 4-0. Jacob deGrom pitching a nice game here for the New York Mets. Bottom half of the 4th inning, the guys in the booth were talking a lot about that second base situation. Daniel Murphy, whether or not he's going to be ready and having to take that hamstring easy, make sure he's 100% before he comes back. Should Daniel Murphy not be ready by opening day? A lot's been written about how the second base situation will shake out. Now, what I've been told, talking to multiple people in the front office, is should it be a long-term thing, which the Mets are pretty certain it is not. That's the only way you would really see Matt Reynolds. The Mets want him to play every day, so unless Murphy was out for an extended period of time, he won't be playing second base for the Mets come opening day. The 2 guys that leaves are Ruben Tejada, Daniel Muno. Looks like it is going to be Tejada with the possibility of Muno maybe platooning should a DL stint be needed for Daniel Murphy early on in the season. Now, even the fact that this is a discussion, though, shows you where the organization's thinking is with Ruben Tejada at this point in his career. Speaking again with multiple guys in the front office, they view Tejada now as strictly a utility guy. And what one of the people I was speaking with said, and this really stood out to me, is for some guys, they're just better not playing every day. May have the skills to be an everyday player, but mentally, that's half the battle in this game. So they look at Tejada as maybe he's not at that tier where he can be an everyday second baseman, an everyday player, but he's at the upper tier in terms of potential for a bench player, a utility guy, because of 2 factors. One, there's no question about his glove, and then second of all, he gets on base. So they're actually looking at this as a positive with Tejada, a guy that maybe doesn't have a starting spot anymore, but could be a big plus for this team coming off the bench.
Well, Steve, you make a good point, and the point I love is that sometimes when you look at these injuries, it's not about deciding the future. Sometimes you have to decide the immediate future. So Tejada is a good mix because you know Murphy will be back soon. Ball hit straight over the head of Lagares, gets on his horse and makes the play look easy, as he often does.
Well, in today's game with today's salaries, you can make a heck of a lot of money hitting 220 and getting around 130 at bats and playing around 50 games.
Only 57 pitches here through 4 1/3 for Jacob deGrom. It's a nice pitch count. That's been one of his strengths also since he's been up in the major leagues, is that he usually doesn't get in those compromised pitch counts where he's got 80 through 4 innings. He challenges the hitters as he challenges Escobar there.
Well, one thing he does well, Ron, is that he pitches to both corners. He moves the ball in and out beautifully. And that's one of the reasons he was so successful last year and why he's having such a nice spring right now.
That was a simple, nice thing that you saw from DeGrom. If you were watching at home, he held the ball for a couple more clicks on the mound. Tony Gwynn Jr.'s got a lot of speed. Okay, in a regular season game, he might not be running with the lead 4-0, but he could be in spring training. So that little holding on the ball, a little extra time, makes it a problem for Gwynn. Ground ball hit by Escobar to David Wright. On to second base. Do they turn two? Yes, they do. DeGrom with that sinking fastball gets the Mets out of this inning as they still lead 4-0 in the middle of the fifth. Back here in Port St. Lucie at Tradition Field with the Mets leading 4-0, but a nice double play in the top of the fifth.
Two good things here. Watch Tejada turn it. Abracadabra. I was there. No, I'm not. Beautiful pivot by Tejada. Now watch Lucas very fluid here, coming off the bat almost, getting a maximum stretch. I like that. The umpire's more inclined to call that a double play, even though it was clearly out. So nice pair.
Aaron Barrett comes into the game relieving Steven Strasburg. The one thing we didn't mention in all this talk about Reynolds and Nuno and Tejada is a step up defensively in all of those players.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, it's nice in spring training when you get 2 at bats if you're the pitcher. It means you're pitching well. DeGrom comes up again and takes ball 1. Aaron Barrett had a nice year for the Nationals last year, pitching 50 games, ERA 2.66, flawless record at 3-0, and 49 strikeouts in 40 2/3 innings. Good fastball, overhand curveball. Well, of course, overhand curveball. 12-6 curveball.
Yeah, he's right over the top. He's got the big shoulder lift. It means that he's tough to pick up. Kind of hurries the ball home in his motion.
Fastball in for a strike. Well, that's the one area when you look at the Washington Nationals and you say, boy, do they have an Achilles heel? Well, the trade for Clippard for Escobar is that bullpen. Is it going to be strong enough? Will it have to be strong enough? Their starting pitching is so good, you might not have to get as many outs.
I think they're going to need to get it from their 5 starters, and they've got that capability. I think it's the best starting 5 in baseball, but certainly the National League. So I think it's less pressure on the middle relief.
Ground ball from DeGrom. Espinosa wanders over and makes the easy play. Live Mets Baseball is back in 2015 with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. There's Jerry Blevins up in the bullpen for the Nationals.
Mets touched him up the other day up north when they played him on the road. And I can't say that I'm a fan of his national uniform.
What did you describe it? You said it looked like a bowling shirt?
It looked like a bowling team out there.
Maybe that's not Jerry Blevins. Maybe it's Johnny Petraglia out in the bullpen.
It's not very attractive.
That's a good beard for a bowling team.
Nice curve.
I knew you had such concern for uniforms.
I love
we
uniforms.
Started doing this game.
I love uniforms.
You and I started working in the booth together.
The Red Sox had beautiful uniforms. Nice stripes in their socks. Second to the Cardinals, Ronnie. Sorry.
Another good breaking ball from Barrett.
Juan able to lay off. All good things right here. Behind the count 0-2. Remember last time he was up, he fell behind. Curveball away. They came up and in with a fastball and tied him up. Let's see what they do this time with him. Going back in.
Fastball down, fouled off the foot of Lagares. He'll shake that off.
He will, yes.
Good sinking life on this fastball from Barrett. Right into the instep. I was trying to think of the bowlers. We were talking about it before. Dick Weber was one of the great bowlers, right?
Yes. Nice curve, stayed in there nicely. I think the Bowling Hall of Fame is right across the street in St. Louis.
That's right. I never went there, or haven't been there yet. Anyway,
did you ever bowl? I used to have fun with it.
Where I'm from, there's candlestick bowling. You ever heard of that?
No.
It's these real skinny pins, and you use a ball that really just looks more like a shot put.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Wow.
I was never good at it. Bounces that fastball to Ramos. 2-2 count here on Lagares. Again, working the count.
Well,
seeing a lot of pitches.
0-2 and showing good patience, a good eye.
What's interesting, Keith, is you've been describing Lagares' at-bats kind of like how Terry Collins is watching him, don't you think?
Yeah, of course.
Terry Collins is watching him in the same way.
They're making a judgment right now whether they're going to lead Lagares off, and I like what I see. That's why he's probably smiling.
Get out of here.
Terry's standing up today. Usually he's sitting during these ball games outside on the chairs.
Good at bat. 3-2. It goes back. I remember Pujols asked Stan Musial when Pujols was in his prime, having the great years with St. Louis, and he asked Stan about two-strike hitting, and Stan said, "Good knowledge of the strike zone will make you a good two-strike hitter."
Wow. Good sinking fastball there from Barrett. Gets Lagares.
See, that's a strikeout right there, folks. And to me, that's a plus at bat for Lagares. He didn't get the result, but he battled. He was 0-2. He worked the count to 3-2. He really battled. And that, to me, it's spring training. That's what you want to see. That's a positive.
Well, we see that Matt Williams coming out. He's going to manage this game like a game that'll happen in April as Barrett's out. And Jerry Blevins will come in for the Nationals. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan, furnishing your style.
Hi.
Back here in Port St. Lucie, Jerry Blevins, the left-hander, in for the Washington Nationals to face Curtis Granderson. So the Oakland, his entire career till last year, where he went 2-3 in 64 games for the Nationals. Well, here was the home run earlier, Keith.
And Curtis continuing his blistering hitting with that home run.
That ball hit off the toe of Granderson and goes foul.
Granderson with 3 home runs now in spring.
These little matchups are fun for me to watch, Keith, because Blevins Granderson is a matchup you're going to see a lot this season, and you're probably going to see it on an opening day. How you beat teams over the course of the season is how your left-hander Blevins can get out a Duda, a Granderson, the people on base.
Well, you know what? It's always been hard. It's a lot of left-handers that can't get lefties out.
Nationals didn't have any problem last year, 15-4 against the Mets.
Oh, they just owned them.
Breaking ball stays inside.
It's a new year. It's going to right out of the gate up against the Nationals.
But you're facing some good pitching. They're going to come, like you said in the open, they're going to be limping into April. There's David Wright on deck with some of their position players, but not with their starting pitching. Fastball fouled back by Granderson. In fact, that's going to be some matchup on the first day game for the Mets against the Nationals in Washington. It'll be Matt Harvey against Steven Strasburg.
Now, the first 16 games of the season, folks, are going to be in division. Then you got that weekend series at Yankee Stadium, then right back into division for 6 more. And that's the way it should be. You should open the season in division.
But Keith, you talked about the Nationals having some guys hurting. It'd be a good time for the Mets to jump on top of the Nationals in April. Good breaking ball, 3-2, taken by Granderson to end this inning. But at the end of 5, the Mets still lead 4-0 here at Tradition Field. From DeLand, Florida, has enjoyed pitching in his home state here in spring training. He's had it all working this afternoon through 5 innings, 4 strikeouts. His control impeccable. Seeing a lot of what we saw last season for the Rookie of the Year. Here to face Bryce Harper to lead off the 6th. This is what you like to see from your starting pitcher, starting to get it to 6 innings. Late, maybe the next start, maybe getting to the 7th. used to always think if I could get through 6, then I was ready for the regular season. Why is that? The adrenaline itself will take you a little further. So you'll get those extra 2 innings, the 7th, maybe the 8th. Bryce Harper with a ball that's no chance this is staying in. That ball on top of the patio deck.
Well, you get the ball in the air here, it's going to travel to right field today. And this is something that, you're going to get the fastball from DeGrom. And DeGrom, the hitters are going to get a little bit hip to what he likes to do, and they're going to realize that he attacks the hitters, and why not? First ball, fastball hit off of DeGrom, and DeGrom's going to have to make some adjustments.
Remember, each at-bat is like other at-bats, right, Keith? He struck him out with a lot of fastballs his last at-bat. He was waiting this time.
Yep, and it doesn't mean that you don't have to throw, because they're first ball, fastball hitting you, and there's a ground ball to second, easy play. It doesn't mean you have to throw breaking balls because they're on your first. Just locate your fastball first pitch.
You're right. That was quite a home run, though, hit by Harper. Here comes Ian Stewart in that beard. Have you seen a ball go off that deck? That's the first one I've seen so far.
It's the first one I've seen.
Yeah. Darryl Strawberry-like. He used to hit him high and long.
Wow, Darryl. I remember he hit that off the popcorn machine in the Astrodome that one time. I was up there where no one was sitting.
That's right.
Oh, gosh.
People in the stands didn't even know whether to run after the baseball because it was so far away.
No, it was on a level where no one was on. It was a bomb. I was stunned.
That's the kind of impact player that Harper can be at times. He has not put together that full season. It's going to happen, though. Too good of a player. He's so young. Still learning how to play this game at this level. When he figures it out, forget about it. Ball hit by Stewart on the nose to Kadire in left field. 2 outs here in the inning for DeGrom. Kadire, I don't know if we got that on tape, guys. Kadire threw the ball in after he made the catch. Every left fielder throws it into second base or the shortstop after they make the catch. Kadire threw it into third base, and it almost hit David Wright. And now the big smile. That can end the friendship. Good slider from DeGrom for strike 1.
Well, you mentioned, we were in conversation before the game, Ron, that DeGrom gave up only 7 home runs last year in 140 in the 3rd innings. That's keeping the ball in the ballpark.
Ball hit on the ground, backhanded by David Wright. Strong throw to first base, and DeGrom out of the inning. 6 innings of 1-run ball for Jacob DeGrom as the Mets lead by 3. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage sales event, now at your Honda dealer. Around the Majors is brought to you by Chase, with more ways to serve you in your neighborhood and on the go. Eric Young Jr. looks like he's going to be starting center fielder for the Atlanta Braves. Matt Latos with a nice effort, and James Shields. Well, that makes sense. He's going to be the Padres opening day starter for what you're paying him. He should at least pitch opening day. Blevins will stay on here to face David Wright, and then probably Lucas Duda. That'll end his day. David with that solo home run in his last at bat to right field. Back-to-back with Curtis Granderson. Ground ball to the left side. Espinosa comes up with the strong arm. 6-3 in your scorecard for the first out. You know, Keith Harper, after he hit his home run, came to the bench and had a couple of words with Matt Williams.
Just a little chit chat. You know, what'd you hit? Did you get there? Yeah, just like I told you. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now go sit down.
Where's that fastball? Down the middle, Skip. Again, a matchup we're going to see a lot this season. Jerry Blevins against Lucas Duda. It's a chance for Blevins to figure out how he's going to get Duda out, and for Duda to figure out how to get to Blevins. Well, how about smashing one down the right field line? Past the diving Robinson by Harper, who falls on his keister. And Duda legging out a triple.
Ball took a real, and Harper may have got hyperextended himself there. His knee. Because the ball really came off peculiar. It just kicked out an odd angle. Watch. It's got a beat on it, and it kicks back a little harder. Yep, and there you go. A little bit of. Oh, he's all right.
Almost hit that fold, it looked like, in the padding there, and took a weird carom.
And Lucas out of the box. Not a speed burner.
He doesn't usually have to run too hard. When he hits it on the nose, he usually just has to walk around the bases or stride around the bases. Harper seems like he's recovered as Matt Williams comes out and takes out his left-hander and brings in Tanner Roark, who will now pitch for the Nationals. Raymore call to the bull. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan, furnishing your style. Well, Tanner Roark, who had a fine season last year with 15 wins, all of his numbers were great. Really sent to the bullpen with the acquisition of Max Scherzer, and he's had a tough spring, giving up 10 runs and 10 innings pitched.
What do I got to do to stay in the rotation?
Infield in for the Washington Nationals here with one out. First pitch in to Godire. Ball one.
Roark has thrown 10 innings and given up 10 runs, so his ERA that puts his ERA at 9, and there you see the infield in, folks. Ronnie
Espinosa really to pull.
Ronnie wouldn't lie to you.
Fastball in again, and Espinosa played the pull, can't get that ball up the middle. An RBI from Michael Kadire as Duda scores the 5th run for the Mets this afternoon.
Well, good hitting. They're a little playing for the pole. Look at where the shortstop's at. As a result, just gets out of range there. You know, I don't, with a professional hitter like Kadire, who knows how to go up the middle, get a sacrifice fly. That's a big run. In a regular season game, there's the pinch runner right there, and that's Puello. You're going to go more up the middle. So why would you position your shortstop as if he's a dead pull hitter? I just don't understand that positioning in that particular situation.
Wilmer Flores up and hits a ball in the nose again like he did in his first at-bat, but this will split the outfielders. Puello just came in to run for Kadire, will score the 6th run for the Mets, and an RBI double by Wilmer Flores.
Well, first ball, fastball hitting. That'll make me very happy. There's one way to knock a pitcher out of the game, and that's not high pitch count. That's pounding him.
Well, what's interesting about Roark is that his strength as a starting pitcher is his ability to mix in all of his pitches, and he's got 4 good ones. But in the relief role, sometimes it takes away a couple of those pitches, and he's got hurt by 2 fastballs here.
That's another thing too. You hold different mentality when you start. You prepare for the game. You go in the first inning. You know, when you're in relief, the guy gets you up in the middle. He's not. You know, it's an adjustment for this young guy.
And we talked before about how talented this national starting staff is going to be. Innings are going to be hard to come by for Tanner Roark. You'd like to see him have the ability maybe to replace Tyler Clippard in that role, but he doesn't have the strikeout pitch like Clippard did. Fastball hit up the middle. Backhanded by the second baseman. Darno out at first base.
Nice at bat by Darno. Hello.
Whoa.
All right, don't even show me who. We're going to Washington. You play 3 games. You want to know who the starters are. Well, with this 5 running, it doesn't really matter, does it?
You can see they put Gio in between Strasburg and Pfister just to mix in the left-hander. But Scherzer, if you've been watching him in the American League the last couple of years, lights out. Zimmerman might have been their best pitcher the last couple of seasons, and Strasburg with all that potential. Here's Matt Reynolds, who came in to run for Kadire at third base.
I like what I've seen from Reynolds.
It's interesting. It's almost like Tejada is more crouched over than he's been all of spring training. Almost like they're trying to implore him to just kind of chop at the baseball, Keith, instead of taking that big swing.
Well, he gets in trouble with that long swing. And he's not a power hitter. It's just it gets too long a swing, he gets him in trouble.
Earlier this spring, as you see Puello getting loose, he's going to go out in the outfield. Ruben Tejada's father saw him play as a professional for the first time. And it was here at Tradition Field. Fastball, check swing, but kept fair there for the final out as Roark gets through this inning, but the Mets score a couple more and extend their lead to 6-1 here after 6 innings. plenty of action here in today's game. We've seen Harper strike out, also hit a 450-foot home run. David Wright with a nice play and a not so great play by Moore, and plenty of home runs again for the Mets this afternoon. Mets have some changes. Matt Reynolds comes in and plays shortstop. Danny Nuno at third base. John Mayberry Jr. in left field. Matt Dendecker in center field. And Cesar Puello in right.
Lots of changes.
Sorry about that, Mr. Webb. We have to go in order. I forgot. Boy, DeGrom out there for the 7th inning. First time a Mets pitcher has gone into the 7th.
Well, this is what DeGrom always keeps his pitch counts low because he pounds the strike zone.
In today's game, unless you're one of the elite pitchers, and even the elite pitchers, Kershaw and others, you've got to keep your pitch count down. If you don't, you are not going to get deeper into games. You don't get deeper into games, you don't have a chance to win those games.
Or you can leave it to someone to blow it for you.
Exactly. Another ball hit hard on the nose by Robinson, but the Mets have Nuno there, and he makes the play. This does a world of confidence to see Espinosa come to the plate for you as a pitcher, Keith. When you're in spring training, you know you're getting close to the bell ringing, and you get into the 7th inning. Like after this start is done, Jacob deGrom, when he goes and does his running, is going to have a nice smile on his face. He's going to feel like he got a full day's work in. Sinking fastball from deGrom. Out of the strike zone for ball 1. This is one of those starts, if you had it in the regular season, you'd be very happy. And you're not assured of winning, but put yourself and your team in a good way of winning.
Well, he's got 4 strikeouts, Ronnie, in 6 and a third, which is fine, plenty. When you have more strikeouts, your pitch count's up. He's put the ball in play. And there you go right there.
It's Johan Santana-like, that strike-to-ball ratio.
78 pitches. He's on a pace. He could maybe get under 100. He has a couple quick innings, go 9.
Hit off the end of the bat. The athlete that deGrom is gets off like a cat and makes the play. Another part of his game that's not overrated is deGrom's ability as an athlete, Keith.
Former shortstop, am I right? And look at the reaction to the ball.
Did you see how he stopped, took his time, crow hopped, made an accurate throw? As you can see him laughing with third baseman Danny Nuno, who probably is out there to talk to deGrom. Sometimes the manager will come out and take him out, but it looks like they're going to let him try to get through the 7th. deGrom throwing just as hard as he was in the 1st inning as he is in the 7th. That's where those radar guns really are useful.
Agreed.
You know?
Because even if they're off,
yeah,
it's just the same. If it's the same, then you know they're not tiring. Good point, Ron. Very good point.
A little change up there to Tony Gwynn, but this will be pulled foul. I don't think there's anything that is more daunting than being the son of one of the greatest hitters that ever played, huh? Tony Gwynn, faced him over 100 times, I believe, in my career, and just no way to get him out, and having to follow in your dad's footsteps.
It's tough.
Tough.
Barry Bonds did.
That's right.
It was better than his father, and his father was pretty darn good.
Junior was better than his father, Ken Griffey.
Yep, and his father was a heck of a player.
Heck of a player. The Boones and the Bells and others. Breaking ball down.
Nice.
Tejada over. And deGrom, first Mets starter to get through 7 innings. And looks like he'll leave with a 6-1 lead here at Port St. Lucie. Saturday, April 11th. The Mets are in Atlanta, but you can catch the game here on New York's Pix 11. The Mets versus the Braves, Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. Only on New York's home for baseball, Pix 11. Well, Tanner Roark stays in the game, and Johnny Monell is up for the Mets. 3 home runs, I think he has in spring training.
He does.
Shouldn't say I think, I know.
With 8 RBIs.
Albuquerque Isotopes last season. It means he was a teammate of Clinton Robinson, first baseman for the Nationals. Monell up to the plate. Matt Dendecker on deck. Sounds repetitive. Watching Monell, Keith, it seems to me he's just a dead red hitter. There it is. Fastball hit in the air. It's going to carry.
4.
How about home run number 4? It's amazing sometimes the camps that some of these players will have where everything seems to go right. Every ball that's hit in the air is with the wind. And Johnny Monell puts the Mets up 7-1.
Loves that fastball. You said it, RJ.
Well, some of the same for Tanner Roark. This is how his spring training has gone so far. I mentioned before he came into this game, 10 runs given up in 10 innings of work, as Matt Williams is trying to find a position to put him, whether it's going to be in setup role or it's going to be wasted to have him as the long man with his pitching staff.
Well, you just wonder how much work he'd get in the long role because the starters are so good. I mean, the starters are going to have their days when they're going to get knocked out early, but that pitching staff, the starting rotation for the Nationals, I think the majority of the time are going to give you a strong performance.
So when watching Tanner Roark pitch here and then from last year, the main difference I see, lots of fastballs by Roark, and he's not that kind of pitcher. Here's the changeup, hit right on the nose by Matt Dendecker, but it's an out, put away by the center fielder. 7 fine innings by Jacob deGrom this afternoon. He's with our Steve Gelbs.
Thanks, Ron. 7 fine innings indeed. Jacob, after your last start, you talked about struggling to get the ball down. Did you feel better about how you were able to command your pitches today?
Yeah, I definitely felt better today. I had a couple 4-pitch walks, though. I don't really know what happened there, but for the most part, I kept the ball down in the zone today.
When you see the Nationals across the way, obviously this is the team that you're opening up against in a little over a week, and you start to see these guys, some of the big guys playing. Bryce Harper obviously took you deep there. Is there an added excitement? Does it feel like things are getting closer?
Yeah, definitely. Bryce got me today. Fell behind him and left him one over the middle, but yeah, it's exciting. Seeing that these lineups are pretty close to what the opening day lineups are going to be, and to go out there and face them and kind of learn from today and take some things I learned in the second start.
Do you hold anything back when you're playing this team the opening weekend? Are you working on your own stuff, but at the same time not trying to show them everything because of the importance of the games moving forward?
I was mainly just working on stuff today. My changeup, I'm getting underneath a little bit still, and that's what I fell behind Bryce with, and I got to stay on top of that. So still working on things, but if you see something that you can take into the season, then you'll take it.
Did you see something?
I can't tell you that.
There you go. That's the right answer. You say you're working on the changeup. What are you doing both when you're pitching in these games and in your side sessions as well to make sure that you get that ready for the season?
Just trying to stay on top and keep the same arm motion as my fastball and just stay on top of it. I have a tendency to get under it every once in a while, and it goes in there flat and normally is up and away, so I just try to stay on top of it, and just been working on that.
Jake, obviously so much excitement heading into this season is based around you and the pitching staff. At the same time, really the story of the spring is starting to become the way that your teammates are mashing the baseball. So as a pitcher, how exciting is it to now get that run support?
Very exciting. You know, whenever they put up that 4 spot, and what inning was that, the 3rd, you know, I wanted to go out there and get quick innings to get them back in here to hit. So that's very exciting to have the run support, and really looking forward to the season starting.
And now we just need to get you to get some of that run support for yourself. But you're in there hitting today, so how'd that feel as well?
That felt all right. In Strasburg, you know, blew those by me, but I felt all right in there.
I think Mets fans will take the 7 with 1 run ball instead of your hits. All right, appreciate it. Guys, back to you.
Well, misplay there by Dan Ugla, who's been in second base for a couple of innings. We get a chance really to talk about Ugla and is trying to stay on this roster for the Nationals and just fumbles the baseball.
In the exchange, well, Ugla has never been known for his defense. He was always a hard-nosed player. Had that miserable defensive game in the All-Star game. What year was that, Ron, where he made all those, what, 3 errors?
3 errors, right?
Yep. I don't think he ever really recovered from that. I think that really, really affected him.
Like mentally.
Yep.
Yeah, confidence.
On a national stage like the All-Star game, you know, you don't want to go out there and make 3 errors. My gosh. There's not a hole deep enough you can dig.
Yes, that is a triple in his last at-bat by Lucas Duda. You know, I'm asked all the time about Jacob deGrom and why I think he's so successful. And I was looking at some, this is the Duda's last triple, 2011. And I was looking at some charts today, and all of his pitches come from the same area. That's a great thing. That he keeps the ball down in strike zone, that's a great thing. But if there's one word I would use, maturity. He's a very mature,
smart too,
smart,
intelligent.
Out there. Yeah, he has all of that off the end of the bat there by Duda. And one of the things that's very hard to teach young pitchers is body language, because it's kind of inside you. It's your DNA. It's innate. And one of the things that you want your pitchers to do, if they're losing by 4 runs or winning by 4 runs, you don't see any change, you know. They don't let the hitters know that they've got to him. And he has that in spades. You don't know if he's winning or losing. Just continues to execute. Martin up in the bullpen for the Nationals. Lucas looking to get one in the air, too. Home run derby if he can hit it to right. Yep. I'm supposed to say, where were you when you never, when I was hitting, why didn't you say that? I used to say it on the bench occasionally. Lucas with a 2-run bomb, now 9-1. New York Mets. I used to say more like Keith's going to get a base hit here to drive in 2. It was more like that.
Thank you. The Roark is really getting kind of shellacked here, but you know, with the wind blowing out, Monell's ball would have been a fly ball. This ball right here probably would have stayed in the ballpark.
Port St. Lucie has turned into Williamsport in right field.
Well, the E4, it's 2 unearned runs this inning.
Well, with the addition of Kadire, you knew the Mets lineup was going to be lengthier, longer, and you can see the results here in spring training. I mean, you know, you don't want to get too crazy about spring, but you want to be happy about these numbers, Keith.
Well, when you're number 1 in all the important categories, you're going to be very happy about it. But you know what? When it's April 6th, those numbers won't mean a darn thing. It's got to carry it forward into April. But Terry Collins has got to be extremely happy. His club needed a good spring, Ron, and it is having a good spring.
You know, Keith, not only good spring, they need to get off to a good start.
Yes.
It's imperative. I know that's imperative for every team. Broken bat by Puello in the hole. And the throw's too late. Base hit for infield base hit for Puello.
Well, nothing's going right. It's like when it rains, it pours for Roark here. Gets a ground ball, broken bat. And that's going to be it for him.
Mercifully. a tough afternoon for Tanner Roark. 15 wins as a starter seems oh so long ago. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan, furnishing your style. It's 9-1 here, Mets. Rafael Martin in for the Nationals, 30 years old, from San Fernando, California. That's in the valley outside of Los Angeles. As Matt Reynolds comes to the plate. University of Arkansas, Matt Reynolds. Keith, you and I were mentioning the other day that we played with Kevin McReynolds, probably one of the greatest ball players to ever come out of Arkansas, or the University of Arkansas. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Side swinging Rafael Martin with a strike. We talked about in the beginning, Keith, with Tejada getting the start today, and Reynolds getting a lot of playing time in the infield at second base, but they have 40-man roster spot problems with Reynolds and Muno that they don't have with Tejada, obviously.
You're going left. Left field.
Well, Reynolds had the terrific years. It's really his first good year he had in his 3 minor league seasons. It struggled in A-ball level 2 years in a row and really just wore it out in AA and AAA. So it'd be good for him to go down to Vegas again, and if he can do a repeat, much like he's really following the same path as Dilson Herrera.
Yeah.
Both had terrific years last year. Hey, if they can carry it forward in Las Vegas this year, they're going to find a spot for them to play.
So they'll be up the middle for the 51s in Las Vegas. Herrera and Reynolds.
Yes.
Fastball fouled straight back from Matt. They'll be under the tutelage of our buddy Wally Backman down there with pitching coach Frank Viola.
Oh, joy. We love Wally.
He's the best. Waldo
Pepper.
This will be Wally's 3rd year in Las Vegas, I believe. I was talking to some of the folks that own and run the franchise for the Las Vegas 51s. They just love Wally Backman. There he is. I think that's the run he scored when Carter hit the ball up the middle off the big right-hander for the Astros. Kerfeld, off Charlie Kerfeld.
They walked me intentionally.
Oh, geez, very much.
We brought up Carter. Remember, Carter was 1 for something at that point in the series.
And he kind of got jammed, but he fought it up the middle. And
he knew what to do. He shortened up. All was needed was a base hit. He was clutched out. He was clutched out for us. I was actually a little nervous in the on-deck circle because I didn't really feel that great in that playoff, and Kerfeld gave me a little bit of trouble during the season, and when he walked me, I kind of be honest with you, I kind of took a sigh of relief. Just aren't. You do it, Garrett.
Boy, little did we know in those days about you. Popped up by Reynolds. Shortstop calls off. And play.
Ugla.
That should have been Ugla's ball. He got called off by the shortstop. Not his fault. Not able to make the play. And that's a run-scoring double, I believe.
Yes, it will
for
be.
Matt Reynolds.
And tag on another run. That closes the book on Roark. Good hustle by Puello.
That's what you like to see.
Taking nothing for granted. And as a result, scores. Well done. Well, this has turned into an old-fashioned rout.
Cicchini up for the Mets. Brother is in the Red Sox organization. We saw him last year playing late for the Red Sox. Talented baseball family. We were talking about baseball families before. No batting gloves, Keith, for Cicchini. Gotta like that.
Come on, Daryl.
Well, it's 68 degrees.
No.
I know it's cold today, but for Florida, but we do like to see that. Yep, there you go.
Pick up a little dirt. Ball players of old. Cicchini's got some old school in him. Has his numbers last year with the St. Lucie Mets. Nice swing there. Count even at 2-2. I said Cicchini, geez, big mistake. I said Cicchini, it's Darryl Siciliani.
Well, it's all right.
No, it's not. It's bad.
They're going to have
bad.
They're going to have probably another cut on Monday. Always the cuts are on Monday, if you recall, because the paychecks you get a week's meal money in spring training,
right,
folks. You get a week's meal money. It's all cash. So if they gave everybody a full week on the Monday, the players wouldn't be cut until the following. Oh my gosh, it's a circus now.
Ball goes foul. Play not made.
This has turned into. All that's missing is the dancing bears now.
I mean, the wind's blowing hard, but certainly not that hard. As the Nationals now have misplayed two pop-ups. One cost them a double, and here luckily stays foul.
So when they give you that week's meal money, folks, and they say cut you on Wednesday, they wouldn't say, okay, give us the 3 days back. You keep it so they make their cuts on Monday.
That is.
So you don't get the, when you get cut on Monday, everybody's in line for that meal money. You don't get it. You go back to the $10 a day in the minor leagues camp.
Folks are going to be so disturbed by that story. Ball in the air to right field. And Harper makes the catch in the sun and the breeze. Well, Johnny Manel has been the story of camp. His fourth home run on Lucas Duda. One of his power shots. 30 home runs last year and a bomb here this afternoon. As the Mets lead 10-1. Well, this is our BMW tour of the stadium. This tour of Tradition Fields brought to you by your Tri-State BMW Centers. That's out past the fence where Rusty Staub and others would do their running. Is the berm, of course, one of the favorite spots here at Tradition Field for mothers and daughters alike.
And the swamp out there, mythical.
Zach Thornton in the pitch for the Mets. Gets the first pitch ground ball from Dan Ugla for the first out of the 8th inning. Zach Thornton has had a nice spring training. He was the player to be named later in the Ike Davis deal, and he's only given up a couple of runs, and this is his 9th game in spring training. He has a chance to stick with the big club also. A lot of it depends on Vic Black, who threw off the mound today earlier this morning, and if Vic can make the call for the first game, reduces the chances for Thornton, Goodell, Carlisle, and others.
He's a slinger. Look how he holds the ball back behind on his hip almost.
I can't even do that physically anymore.
Interesting. Everybody has little idiosyncrasies. And where they're developed, who knows? But that's very unusual right there.
I'm serious. With my arm, I could not do that. I can't put my arm behind me like that anymore.
When you played, you could.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm talking about now. All broken down me.
No, you're all washed up.
Yeah, exactly. Another ball hit right on the ground. Does it stay fair? No, called foul. That ball will be called by the home plate umpire, Chris Conroy. If it doesn't pass the bag, it's the home plate umpire's responsibility. If it goes past the bag, it becomes the third base umpire's responsibility. Close. Almost even with the bag there. Good lesson there from Muno, though. He went with the play and made the play. Didn't wait for the umpire's call. Kevin Franson up for the Nationals. A couple of years ago, he had an outstanding year off the bench for the Philadelphia Phillies. One of those guys that can do that rare thing, and that's hit off the bench. Talented pinch hitter. That ball down for the walk of Franson. We'll get to Citi Field Saturday, April 18th for fireworks night following the Mets game against the Marlins at 7:10 p.m. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Mets.com/fireworks. As Terry Collins comes out to take Zach Thornton out. And in's going to come in Sean Gilmartin, the left-handed pitcher. Well, all of these outings are going to be so important for Sean Gilmartin, the left-hander that the Mets selected in the Rule 5 draft. Whenever you watch a left-handed pitcher come in relief, to me, the sign I want to see is consistency of breaking ball. You and I were talking in break about Jesse Orozco, who had that. The ability to get that breaking ball over behind the count is key.
Even though it's 10-1, he's going to be used in this situation if he goes north. There's a Rule 5. He doesn't go north. He goes back to his other organization. this would be a situation he's going to have during the season. So thus, you're sitting here and you're watching, you go, why is Terry Collins doing this? You know, it's 10-1. Well, it's a look right now. This is a situation. This is a big appearance for this young man.
Simply what you're trying to show your manager here is that I can get out Bryce Harper, because you're going to be facing this team 19 times during the year, and you've got to show your manager that you have the ability to get this talented hitter out. Good fastball there to get the count to 2-1.
Our microphone to pick up a little snide comments from the fans.
There's that breaking ball in the dirt again. Harper hands the catcher Johnny Manel back his mask.
10-1, Ronnie. It's a fastball away. 2-run home run isn't going to do anything. This is just rip it to the left center field gap.
Nothing irks the manager more than to bring a left-hander in, to face a left-hander, and they walk the left-hander. Just irritates managers.
He shook off 2 fastballs. He wants to throw the breaking ball here, 3-1. Let's see. Slider. He has shown that he likes his breaking ball.
Ball gets away from Johnny Manel, stays in, and the runners just advance a base as Harper walks.
Well, looks like that's going to be it for Gil Martin, and not the result that Terry Collins wanted. You don't walk people, and I know it's spring, but you don't walk people with a 9-run lead.
Terry Collins out to get Gil Martin. Buddy Carlisle coming in to pitch for the New York Mets. As 2 are on, but the Mets still lead 10-1. We're back here in Port St. Lucie as Buddy Carlisle's on to relieve Sean Gil Martin. First pitch strike to Wilson Ramos.
Having a very good spring. Pitched great for the Mets last year. He's a guy that throws hard, goes after hitters, throws strikes.
That ball a little inside as the count evens at 1-1. Ramos' day, a walk, 0 for 2. Ramos has had a lot of different things happen to him. Remember, in Venezuela, he was kidnapped for a while. He's had numerous injuries that you mentioned before, Keith. When he's on the field, fine catcher, his buddy Carlisle gets behind Ramos. This is where you like to see your pitcher come in, your veteran right-hander, challenge Ramos with something down and in, keep it down, and have him hit a ground ball. See if your infield can turn too.
Oh, nice cut.
Right down the middle. Missed by Ramos. See, pitchers forget that sometimes they lay the ball down the middle and the hitter doesn't put it in play. Fortunate there for Buddy. There's the walk to Ramos, and the bases are going to be loaded.
Unusual.
You know, earlier this morning, Vic Black had a bullpen session. We mentioned it before, through 24 pitches. He's had some shoulder issues.
Looks like he's kind of favored in that throw, didn't it, Ronnie?
And it looks like he's trying to throw nice and easy, and that's not the kind of guy you usually see from Vic Black. But probably have him toned down to just try to throw 50-60%. Interesting. Keith and I, while we were watching that, we were not cringing, wouldn't be the right word, but it didn't look natural. Concerned.
It looks like it's favoring it, doesn't it? Didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Bases loaded here for the Nationals. Ball foul to the right side. Nakazi up for the Nationals. Got a lot of names wrong today, so hopefully that one's right.
Oh, there's the Parnell beard.
Parnell has thrown a couple times in the minor league games. His velocities have been around 92, 93, which is not bad considering it's his first time out on the mound. He'll build on that.
Hey, that beard is so long, and you can comb it or brush it. Can we see it again? It looks like he coiffed it. Look at that. That is beautifully brushed.
You'd have to use like the brush they use on a horse. Parnell's going to throw in a minor league game again tomorrow. The breaking ball almost gets past Johnny Monell. One out here in the top of the eighth. Mets lead 10-1, but the bases loaded here against Buddy Carlisle. Fastball pulled up into his, fouled right into Minakazi. Big leg kick and fouled right off his chest. See more and more of the hitters, Keith, that are coming through the ranks in the minor leagues with the double flapped helmet. That's what they wear in college, and more kids are becoming comfortable wearing it in the major leagues.
I always remember Willie McGee coming up with the Cardinals. I was on the 80s team. He wore the double flap and never took the doubles off. He liked it. To me, I went to Little League.
Yeah, just missing the strap, right? I always thought there's the...
Yeah, that's okay.
It's a bat boy.
Right. It's the big leagues. Come on.
Oh, that ball up now. It's 3-2 with the bases loaded here. Sloppy inning for Mets pitchers so far. I just always thought, Keith, that the ear flap was the sign of being a big leaguer. Is that you had something, that helmet that is that cool, you know, that you could wear. Now, you had no flaps on your helmet.
Yaz used the single flap.
Yeah, no flap, yeah. Well, later in his career, he did. Pulled on the ground, nice. The shortstop. Nice play by Reynolds over at the Tejada and on the first base. Nice double play by the Mets and Buddy Carlisle to get out of this inning. Mets still lead in a runaway, 10-1. Back here at Tradition Field in Port St. Lucie, the Mets in a runaway 10-1 so far, but they've made some fine defensive plays, Keith.
Well, second double play, they've turned. Nice play by Reynolds. Beautiful backhand feed. Tejada knows the ball's hit hard, and the runner can't get to him. So what does he do this time? He stays behind the bag. He looks extremely comfortable, Ronnie, at second base. We haven't seen a lot of Ruben at second base. So I didn't realize that you have a utility middle infielder.
Well, Tejada's defense, I think, is going to be very important if they decide to go that way. And also, remember in that eighth hole last year, his on-base percentage was very, very good. Took a lot of walks in that position, which you're going to get in front of the pitcher. Xavier Cedeno in the pitch for the Washington Nationals. Whenever I hear this name, I always think about Cesar Cedeno.
Yes, I played against him more than a few times.
What an athlete he was, right?
Hit 30 home runs in the Dome one year.
When I think of Cesar Cedeno, is that ball throw almost pulls the first baseman off the bag. I think if he was, to put it to today's fan, he was Puig before there was Puig. You know, that kind of body, speed, and great baseball skills.
That kind of hitter too. So he was a hacker. Cesar never got cheated up at the plate.
Good breaking ball there from Cedeno.
Well, Cedeno only had 9 games last year with Washington. Played most of the year in their AAA affiliate, Syracuse.
Johnny Monell stays in there against the left-handed pitcher pretty good. Cedeno's a guy who doesn't throw very hard. Tries to kind of little dabble do you out there on the mound. Little of this, little of that. A lot of breaking balls. Fastball there, though, and pulled to the right side for the second out. Well, with all the home runs and everything, the play of the game is brought to you by the Lexus Command Performance Sales Event. We're going to go to defensive play now through March 31st. Michael Godire, that beautiful running catch early to help Jacob deGrom onto his 7 fine innings. Matt Den Decker for his second at bat. Kind of a, I don't want to say a lost camp for Den Decker because he's played awfully hard and awfully well, but it's one of those camps that Neuenhuis got off to such a quick start. And he has the ability to send, the Mets have the ability to send him down. He's got another option left that kind of got run over by Neuenhuis. Never had a chance really to make this ball club. I always talk about this. You never know what's going to transpire in baseball. A few seasons ago, Jay Reese-Familia up in the bullpen for the Mets. Den Decker was having a great spring. Thought he was in the center field of the future. Broke his wrist as that ball is fair down the right field line. Gets tangled up in the chairs in the bullpen, and the umpire is going to call 2 bases.
Well, Den Decker, I think, he's got options. Neuenhuis does not. That kind of makes him odd man out. So he's got to go back down to AAA and do what he did last year.
And just keeps on playing hard here with the double down the line. But I was saying that he looked like the center fielder of the future, made some great catches here in spring, but broke his wrist, and that has allowed Juan Lagares to take over as the everyday center fielder. John Mayberry Jr. up for the Mets. Mayberry with a lot of Mets. Big spring training. Great numbers. Number 44. That's a hitter's number right there. Some numbers that are hitter's numbers, some numbers that are pitcher's numbers. 44 is a hitter's number. The hammer.
Yeah, it's a big stretch. McCovey.
Yeah, there you go. No swing. That's the first number I ever wore as a Met. And remember, it wasn't Charlie Samuels. It was the clubhouse manager before Charlie Samuels. And he just threw it on my chair and said, "This is your number, Rook." And I was happy to wear it. I wore it that whole 84 season, my first full season in the major leagues.
I remember that.
Couldn't wait to get rid of it.
I mean, you change numbers like you change your phone number.
I don't change my phone number in a long time. Very odd for me.
You were 12, 40, 12. I remember.
I started 44. I was 12 for the majority of my career, and then to play with Jay Horowitz once later in my career, I changed to 15 right before game time, and Jay almost had a cow right before the game.
Don't confuse Jay.
Jay was dressed all in yellow today. The entire staff had these bright yellow Met shirts on.
Big curveball there.
Good break pitch by Cedeno as he ends this inning. Good strikeout of Mayberry. Mets still leading 10-1. Well, back here in Tradition Field, as the Mets are having their way with the Washington Nationals this afternoon. 10-1, 12 hits. An error for the Nationals, and Jay Reese Familia, who's had a very indifferent camp. You can see the numbers, but the high ERA.
He's been batted around, and what's concerning is his velocity is down considerably.
His velocity's down, Keith, and the other thing is that I've noticed, now I don't know if they're trying to do this, but I've noticed he's throwing a lot more four-seamers, ball up in the strike zone. The one area, if you look at his numbers last year, all of them are wonderful. Except he doesn't strike out a lot of guys because he's a sinker, slider kind of pitcher. Gets a lot of ground balls. I would not change that. He doesn't need to try to learn a new pitch. He needs to just refine the pitches he has. Because the ones he has, at some point, he could have a year like Dellin Betances had last year for the Yankees. Maybe not with the strikeouts, but with the pure dominance.
Well, he had a tremendous year last year for the Mets.
Just stay down with that sinker, down with that slider. He'll be unhittable. There you go. Ball down the left field line. Youngster in the game at third, playing off the line, and this will be a double down the line. Keith, you mentioned it before. He's been hit hard in spring training, and it continues here.
And, Ronnie, you said you noticed not as much movement on his fastball. He tries to get a sinker here, and just not enough on the sink.
It's not an awful pitch because, you know, it's the kind of pitch that the third baseman's way off the line, so it produces a double. So he did get the ground ball, but that ball's hit a little too hard for your liking when you have the stuff that Familia has. What I'm noticing, Keith, is that he's just not using his backside. At some point, how you get life on your pitches is you use your whole body to get into it. And you've got to use your backside to push off. I don't think he's pushing off as much as I saw him last season. To me, that's the only difference I've seen from last year. Check swing there. There's his numbers.
It was a great year. It's just an awesome year.
73 Ks is a lot of Ks. I should take that back.
Yes.
The walks are not good. You want less walks. Ball foul down the right side past Mayberry. The one thing you can get into as a relief pitcher, if your stuff is not refined, is that everything from Familia is hard. His fastball is hard, his slider is hard. There's no change of pace, change of speed. And that's fine. You can get away with that, but you just have to have better location. Hitters seem very comfortable here in spring training, which shouldn't be the case. Another ground ball fouled by Robinson, who's had a nice day. Here's the brain trust of the Mets. Terry Collins to your left, Bob Guerin in the middle, and Dan Warthen on your right. This ball looked like it hit Clinton Robinson, but it goes to the backstop. He's not getting out of the box, so that ball missed him. That's a hitter. You don't even know what to do, Keith. How to get out of the way.
That is how that ball missed me.
Wild pitch pushes Tyler Moore to third base. Well, you can see why Robinson has 141 home runs in the minor leagues. Looks like a dead pull hitter. Big long swing. Remember, there was a guy that played for the Cardinals who was a great home run hitter. Never found his mark. Mike Laga. Remember him?
Yeah, he hit one out of the pulled one foul in Busch Stadium.
That was off me.
Off you.
Yeah.
It was like he pulled it over the first base dugout.
He did. Good swing there by Robinson, and his second base hit on the afternoon. Robinson with an RBI. He's the one that hit the line drive to Kadire in his first at-bat, and now sprinkled in a couple of hits.
Well, it continues this tough spring for Familia. He's given up 2 base hits.
Yesterday, in 2/3 of an inning, Henry Mejia gave up 3 runs. So the bullpen is definitely a cause of concern. A lot of decisions have to be made, and some better pitching has to be made out of that bullpen. Jose Lozada. This is minor league totals. You know, there's a few things that you have to do as a pitcher to be successful. And number one is first pitch strikes. And Familia's gotten behind most of the hitters this spring training. You see Mayberry playing behind Robinson at first base. Familia asking the umpire if that ball was up. Chris Conroy saying yes, it was. Hit on the ground from Lozada. Mayberry to second base with a force out, back to first. A little too late. Nice job all around. One by Mayberry getting the force out at second base. The return throw from Reynolds and the cover by Familia.
Well, 9-run lead. You still should get the lead runner. Keep that double play in order.
It's good to practice, though, as a pitcher to get over there to first base and see that throw come from the shortstop. Dale Carey in for the Nationals. See his numbers in Auburn. That's lower A ball. 3 home runs, 18 RBIs. Good on base percentage. Be interesting to see if Denard Span can't. Well, he's not going to be back till probably mid-May, maybe the beginning of May. If Michael Taylor leaves with the Nationals, remember that young right-handed hitter, outfielder, great speed. Maybe he'll break with a big club. Ball hit on the screws to left field. Another base hit given up by Familia.
Well, they're getting his fastball, Ron, and they're on his fastball.
They just look extremely comfortable, and this rarely happens. The pitching coach coming out to talk to his pitcher, which signals to me that there's a real cause for concern here. Is that Worthen doesn't want him to keep repeating maybe some of these bad habits he's developed in spring. These are the kind of talks that no pitcher wants. The pitching coach will come out and
try to pump you up.
Yeah, he'll get in your face sometimes. I've heard phrases like, "Come on, you're better than that." You know, things like that that'll really get you going. That your pitching coach is disappointed in you. Dan Uggla to the plate. Seems funny to see him in a Nationals uniform. Seems funny to see anyone in this Nationals uniform, but Uggla especially. Ground ball to third base. Play made with the force. On to first base. Errant throw. Mayberry comes back with the tag, but can't make the play as Uggla, a nifty slide to avoid that tag.
Well, heads up by Uggla. First ball swinging. Should be a game ender.
And just a nervous kind of throw from the youngster over to first base. Little shuffle step and kind of didn't let it go. A nice slide by Uggla. Keep this inning going. Kevin Franzen back up. Fastball rides in on Franzen. To me, when I watched Familia throw, Keith, I was talking about the push off. There just seems to be, to me, it doesn't seem like he's letting it go. It's almost like he's aiming the baseball, and that's a bad place to be. That's a good firm strike. Still, though, like you said, 92 miles an hour.
Yep.
That's about 5 miles an hour short.
Yep. He was throwing 95, 96 last year. And you never know about the guns.
That's our gun, so we should know that.
Yeah.
Good breaking pitch, but not offered by Franzen. And that's another good sinker. So this at bat for Familia better. Well, this pitching to Franzen better. The ball down's got some life, and you don't see that comfortable swing by the hitter. A lot of decisions to make for Dan Worth and the whole Met staff on their bullpen. Good crowd here at Tradition Field. Fastball hit, and the force out at second base, and that'll do it. Familia gets through the inning just giving up a run, but hit awfully hard. But really the story for the Mets today was their offense again, Keith. Just outstanding. DeGrom, 7 great innings and great offense.
12 hits, 4 home runs out of the Mets. Wright is 4th, but it's a biggie right there. Granderson continues his torrid pace, his 3rd home run. Duda trying to catch on and fell behind with the oblique. Not having a great spring. He hit his 2nd home run. So all good positive things. The Mets keep on pounding the baseball. DeGrom looked wonderful run.
Well, here's a scoring summary. The Mets 10 runs on 12 hits. The Nationals had an error and scored 2 on 7 hits as Jacob DeGrom gets the win. Strasburg with a loss. We'll go to commercial. Come back and join Keith and I after the break.